family. It's your favorite queer radio personality, Anna Deshawn, with our queer news for today. Now, I want to make you a promise. We will continue to bring you the latest in queer news, culture, and politics. 7 minutes a day, 5 days a week. So if you're digging our intersectional take on the daily, consider joining the QCrew. The QCrew is our monthly membership program we started to help us grow the podcast. With your help, we can bring you more stories celebrating our lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and comrade communities. This month, we have our first QCrew exclusive interview. Y'all heard? It's an exclusive interview just for our QCrew community. I had the opportunity to interview Felicia D. Henderson. Now, if you don't know, let me tell you, she's a Black woman television producer, writer, and showrunner in Hollywood, whose latest project, First Kill, is currently on Netflix and blowing the numbers out the water. So if you want to watch the exclusive interview with Felicia D. Henderson, you got to join the QCrew. It starts as low as $5 a month. Now, you've shown your support by tuning into this episode, and you can show your curiosity by wanting to watch that Felicia D. Henderson interview by clicking the link in the show notes to learn more about the QCrew. Now for the news. BG has been wrongfully detained for 155 days. You can hear the latest updates on Monday's episode, where I recapped her hearings from last week. She will be back in court on July 26th, and her defense team believes the trial will be over by the beginning of August, and so we'll see. The U.S. House of Representatives has been busy. They have passed the Respect for Marriage Act and the Right to Contraception Act. So let's dig into those bills today. And y'all already know it's Friday, which means I'm recommending a podcast. Today's podcast recommendation is the Pulso Podcast. Let's go.
You are now tuned in to higher frequencies. We do this frequently. Turn your radio station to E3 for that decency. Listen to great music and the latest movement. Safe listening for anyone that's tuned in. Who you waking up to? Anna Deshawn, QCrew and friends. It's that real talk. Online radio with the spins. You caught up in traffic, frustrated. Just check in with E3 to shift your vibrations and get elevated. That's queer radio done right. Choose to be yourself. That's the only way to live life, and that's how it's done here. Just know y'all tuned in to the greatest. Ain't no competition. We ain't worried about the other stations. Check.
Now, our leading story for today is the U.S. House of Representatives, and I'm not sure I have ever said that. So let's give it up to them right now. Let's go. These Democrats are using their majority for good by passing both the Respect for Marriage Act and the Right to Contraception Act. Both bills are direct responses to the U.S. Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade and Justice Thomas's concurring opinion, where he shared that he believes that marriage equality and access to contraceptives should be reconsidered. So, let's start with the Respect for Marriage Act, because y'all know we hella queer around here. It passed the House 267 to 157 with 47 Republicans voting in favor. Do we dare say this bill had bipartisan support? Incredible. So what does this act actually do, and what does it say? Well, it repeals the Defense of Marriage Act, commonly known as DOMA, and so I'm sure you've seen that around, right? Which was ruled unconstitutional by the U.S. Supreme Court in 2012, but we see what this court is on these days, so you've got to be intentional about these protections. It also includes additional federal legal protections for the marriages of same-sex couples, trans folks, and interracial couples. Now, the bill is off to the Senate, where it needs 60 votes to pass, which, dare I say again, might actually be possible. It might actually be possible to pass this in the Senate. CNN did the work of asking all 50 GOP senators where they stood on the issue of gay marriage. 5 said they would vote in favor. 8 said they were a definite no. 15 are undecided or did not indicate support when asked, and 22 did not respond back. We need 60 votes to pass. We've got 50 Democrats. You need 10 Republicans. 5 said they would vote in favor. Now you just need 5 of these undecided or 5 of the 22 that did not respond back to say yes to avoid a filibuster. Now, the catch here is that the Senate goes into its August recess in 2 weeks. So it might not land on the Senate floor for a vote for a little while, but we'll see what Senator Chuck Schumer decides to do. If they have the votes now, I say hurry up and get it done. We need a win in the Senate. And we need some more good news, don't we? We deserve it. And like I said, the House has been busy, okay? Because they also passed the Right to Contraception Act. Now, this one is far from bipartisan, okay? But the Democrats in the House don't need it to pass bills. It passed 228 to 195 with 8 Republicans voting in favor. Now, family, isn't it hard to imagine a world where condoms are banned, where people can't get access to birth control? It's just mind-blowing to me. I will say that I like seeing the Democrats on the offense, not the defense. This will go to the Senate, but it won't pass because you need 10 Republicans to vote in favor, and that's not going to happen at this point. And let's be clear, I'd love to be wrong about it too, but I doubt it. But that is not going to steer me away from pointing out and celebrating and cheering these 2 political wins this week. Now, there are other stories to share, but I don't want to share them because they're kind of downers, you know? And after these stories and going into weekend, I want us celebrating what the Democrats in the House are doing by going on the offense, by being proactive. It matters. Are there areas they need to do better in? Oh, absolutely. And can we hold them to account for that? Oh, absolutely. But we can also cheer the wins, and that too is necessary. Yes. Now, y'all know it's Friday, which means I've got a podcast recommendation for you. This week, I'm recommending the Pulso Podcast. Now, the Pulso Podcast brings you untold stories and unheard voices, the Latino voices you aren't hearing in the news, and the stories you didn't learn in history class. And that's truly how I felt when I started listening to this podcast. I live in one of the most segregated cities in the country. So if I want to learn about other cultures, it has to be done intentionally and driven by my own curiosity to learn more. This podcast brings that opportunity directly into my ears. It's so well produced and the stories are so rich. I definitely recommend you check out this podcast because you will not be disappointed in the least. And of course, a link is in the show notes. And I want to close out this podcast with a word from the mother of Black Hollywood herself, Jennifer Lewis. She is one of my favorite actresses of all time, and honestly, one of the best to ever do it. I think one of my earliest memories of Jennifer Lewis was on A Different World. I mean, she's been at this for decades. Well, she finally received her star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And during an interview with her hometown station in St. Louis, she dropped this word that spoke to me, and hopefully it speaks to you as well as we go into the weekend. Family, don't stop dreaming. Till Monday, peace.
Show business. I gave up many times, but I didn't quit. And let me say to the kids out there, never quit. Dream, dream, dream the dream.
If you enjoyed what you hear, rate and review us inside your favorite podcasting app. This podcast is a production of E3 Radio, your #1 queer radio station playing queer music and reporting on queer news in high rotation.